All right, Scorpio, thanks for tuning in to your October 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen, and this is the time of the eclipses. So, yeah, the eclipses. Now, the last time we had eclipses was back in April, okay? And so these eclipses, they tell a story. And so whatever happened back in April, think back to that time. It was very volcanic. There was a lot of squares, a lot of tension. It was almost like an eruption, and it's that kind of projected all of us in a certain direction, okay? And that direction is this month. It's going to culminate, whatever those changes were, going to culminate this month in October, especially during the first half of the month when we have the lunar eclipse, which has the energy of the full moon, which is essentially a culmination of what took place 6 months ago, all right, during the last eclipse season. All right, so for you, it's happening in your 5th house, all right? It's the house of joy, all right? It's the house of your heart's desire, your passion and joy for life, whatever puts a smile on your face, okay? Whatever that is. Could be romance, it could be children, for those of you who have children in your life. It could be artistic expression, creativity, new projects, whatever your heart is in at the moment. You can certainly see a culmination in that area this month on the 8th. So, and it's also, it's also very tied into your true self, okay? And also your path too, because Uranus is in that 5th house of yours, and so is the South Node. So it's like an ending, okay? But it's because it's the South Node and the full moon is like an ending, but it's not an ending, it's just a culmination. But wherever there's a culmination or an ending, there's also a new beginning, which is the eclipse later on in the month. So for the first half, there is going to be a sort of ending, and it's something to do with the past, something to do with, in this case, really just adapting and going with all of these changes that are happening in that 5th house, in those areas, okay, whatever it is for you, and letting go and just moving on to the next thing. And not getting, because with the South Node, we don't want to move in the South Node direction. We want to reap the abundance, but we don't want to then start moving in that direction, if you know what I mean. So allow the abundance to come, allow that manifestation to happen, and then through that, it's not really what this month is about, but what this month is about is really on the solar eclipse, the new beginning. So through that, tap into that joy, tap into that passion, but allow that to move you into the North Node direction of the solar eclipse, because those two are associated. And that has to do with not your past, but your future, your destiny, your, what you're meant to do, etc., whatever you want to see that. Now, that is happening in your 12th house, okay? And there's a lot of activity involved in that 12th house too. All right, and the 12th house has to do with spirituality, essentially, with presence, with the ebb and flow of life. So you guys are going to be, and I think I've been mentioning this a lot for you guys, lots of spiritual transformation happening, okay? And this month is probably a culmination of that, or a very major transformation, spiritual transformation, where you guys are coming out of a period where you've been working a lot on this area. You've had Saturn transiting your 12th. He's almost out. He's going to be going over into your 1st house at the very beginning of November, okay? And a lot of you are probably feeling that too, like you've become masters, because Saturn at the end of the wheel, at the end of the cycle, that's the training is like complete. Like you've gone through it and you're entering now a new Saturn cycle. And so you're feeling Saturn and it's finishing up in that 12th. So what that feels like is you guys have like spiritual masters. You've had so much training in that spiritual area. You guys are like very strong and like so much wisdom. Saturn developed so much wisdom and just strength and maturity in the spiritual side of things. And then that's what I see. I see then this new beginning of you guys really coming out of this as like spiritual masters, so to speak. Of course, it's going to affect all of you in different ways. 12th house is also dream space. It's also surrendering, like I said, going with the flow, automatic writing, intuition. Lots of you developing a very strong intuition through grounding yourself. You guys are grounding this stuff and it's like real. So whatever it is for you, definitely expect new beginnings there. Now, it's going to be subtle. This isn't an eruption type of month like it was back in April. There's a lot of positive aspects taking place, and it's subtle, one thing at a time. The first thing that happens is Mercury goes retrograde in that 12th house of yours on the 4th. So it's reflecting on that area is what I feel. Something will change, a new perspective. And so use this month up until the 25th, especially while Mercury's retrograde, to really reflect on these spiritual matters. Okay? Reflect on, your role in the universe, the big picture, whatever it is for you individually. Okay? And these changes. And so what's going to happen is as you're doing that, the more you're reflecting and going inward, okay, essentially, then you're going to start to see manifestations start to take place one little bit at a time as the month unfolds. And then at the end of the month, during the solar eclipse, major transformation there. It could be subtle, It's major, but, the 12th house isn't the consciousness. It isn't the external. It could be, like you might see it. Some of you might join new spiritual circles or whatever, but it's not about that. It's internal. And so you may not even be aware of it. It might just all be taking place in your dream space, for instance. But whatever it is, it's really important for you as you're now entering this new Saturn cycle. And so there's the strong completion sense, okay? And this is what it is. Spiritual master has gone through the training, gone through the completion, and then entering a new phase of your life. And a lot of you have already been putting a lot of energy into this new phase of your life, you might say, because Mars has been transiting your first house since mid-September. So a lot of you have been starting new projects, starting new goals, new ambitions, achievements, inspirations, okay? Putting energy into your life, essentially, in new beginnings, which is what that first house is all about. And you're going to continue to do that throughout this month, while, for the first half of this month, while Mars is transiting your first. And there's a grand trine taking place involving Mars, so it's supporting you. And it's supporting you from your 9th house with Jupiter, and it's also supporting you from this lunar eclipse we have early in the month. So what this is telling me is that, obviously you're going to keep putting energy into that first house. And you're going to continue to see expansions in your horizons, okay? Your horizons opening up with Jupiter in the 9th, new opportunities coming abound, perhaps from the past, it's possible, or from the family because it's in Cancer. But in either case, your overall environment is expanding with these new beginnings, you'll notice. And there's this not new, but this culmination of feeling good about life that you've been working on, okay, since April, essentially, in that 5th house. And a lot of you are anchoring your higher self too in physical form, because Uranus is that higher self in the 5th, is about you guys really expressing your truth, freedom of expression. And that's playing a big role this month, especially the first half, but throughout the whole month. And that's supporting you too, speaking your truth. And then that's opening your horizons, and then that's helping put more energy into these new beginnings. So in either case, at the end of the month, it's almost like you're going to have this spiritual awareness, new spiritual beginning, okay? And that's going to then launch you into a new path, as then the Sun, Venus, Mercury then will go into your first house next month in November. All of the stuff you've been working on with Mars will then move into the 2nd house. Now let's talk about that real quick. So mid-month, when a lot of this spiritual stuff starts to get illuminated, because like I said, the first half, it's just reflection, lots of reflection. Then the Sun's going to go into the 12th, followed by Venus, actually on the same day. And so for the second half of the month, that's when a lot of illumination comes in the 12th house, when you're more aware of the cycle completing, more aware of your dream space, more aware of your intuition. And then Venus there which means connecting to it and seeing the true value in that. Now when that happens, Mars is then going into your 2nd house, which is the house of values. Okay? And so there's a lot of energy then going to be shifted from your guys' path into what you value in life. And so that's what I see. I see all of this is like you're figuring out, you're realizing the immense spiritual availability that you have in your life, okay? The overall like abundance of spiritual matters, okay, through all this hard work you've been putting in that area. And then you're going to want to start really going after those things that are your true heart's desire, you know, with Mars in that second house. And then you illuminating and seeing what that heart's desire is. It's almost like very spiritual for you. But in either case, putting a lot of energy into your values. And it could be material, it could be physical, you know, second house, you know, it's just overall like abundance in your life. You're wanting more of that. What spiritual master wouldn't want that? I mean, we're here to ground our spiritualities. This isn't the type of transit where it's like a guru or like a monk where you're meditating. I mean, some of you might be, because that takes a tremendous amount of discipline, doesn't it? But it's more grounded than that. It's like more day to day. And so it's almost like claiming your birthright of abundance. You know, mid-month, you can be like, you know what is it that I value? And seeing that inside spiritually, and then going for it and manifesting it with Mars in the second. And that's very supportive for you. So that's what I see for you guys. And then this is all going to, like I said, lead into new beginnings for you guys in November. All right, so now I'm going to draw a card to see, these are astrology cards, to see where Spirit wants to put a little bit more emphasis for you guys. Okay, Virgo. All right, so you know what? This is good, because there needs to be an emphasis on this. Virgo is your 11th house, okay? And that's where your Sun and Venus are for the first half of the month, okay? So last month in September, and for the first half of this month in October, the light is shining and the connections are being made in your 11th house. And that's where your North Node is, by the way. And so that's the direction you want to move in. You really want to move in that 11th house direction. So what is that? That's humanitarian things, okay? But overall, it's your angelic self, your higher self, your true self. The part of you that wants to help and support others, which is why humanitarian and those types of things come from this. All right? But it's playing a role in the big picture. The 11th house, it's always about unity. It's not about, you know, it's about your refinement. Okay, Virgo is a very individualized sign. But through that refinement, okay, through that improvement that you're doing, it always contributes to the greater good, the greater collective whole. And so that's where you really want to move in. You want to move into the direction of giving, okay, and being of service in that 11th house. And that may involve groups for you, you know, getting involved in the community, but it's not so literal. It could just be online, or it could be through technology, or whatever you're doing that is helping the collective, the world. So keep moving in that direction, I think, is what this is really emphasizing for you. Keep moving in that 11th house direction, especially the first half of the month while you have the Sun and Venus still illuminating there. And then when it shifts mid-month into the 12th, then taking all of this service that you guys have been putting, you know, awareness onto, and shift it onto the internal, and how it's all connected spiritually. And then there's a spiritual meaning in that involved. You see how you transforming spiritually helps the greater good, essentially, is what I'm getting. And it all comes from your improvement and your refinement, okay, your self-improvement. All right, Scorpio, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and please be sure to subscribe for my daily, weekly, and monthly horoscopes. I'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for watching.